Seattle Mariners remain alive in the playoff race after an impressive stretch against the Rangers. Plus, are all owners demons on this episode of the Vintown Mariners podcast, the number one Mariners podcast, recorded in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am Vintown. Let's talk about the Mariners. Yeah, 4 game series with the Rangers. Very disappointing Thursday loss, the kind of loss that had people writing off the season. I was feeling like writing off the season after that loss myself, but like, unfortunately, that's not how it works. Or fortunately, that's how it works. Like, at the end of the day, one game doesn't matter. I say it all season long, and it's getting to the point where that's less and less true. But to come back and win 3 out of 4, that's the best you can hope for. I mean, a sweep would be better, but to win 3 out of 4, if they do win 3 out of every 4 the rest of the way, they might make the playoffs. They might do it. But yeah, we're at the spot where it's honestly, I thought we were gonna avoid it, but it's just the same old shit as the last couple of years. It's just the Mariners are gonna play down to the final day of the season, and they're gonna need things to go their way, and whether they do or not is questionable because you just can't predict ball. But that's what it's gonna come down to. Or to quote Julio Rodriguez, if you don't believe it, why are you in here? That's kind of our mentality. I feel like we've got to believe in ourselves. We're going to do the best that we can with each and every single game that we have down the road. And at the end of the day, God will know what happens. Very base take by Julio. God is everything, God is all around us. God is not some being in the sky. God is the standings on MLB.com/standings. God is baseball reference. God is Fangraphs. Very base, but that's, God will know what happens at the end of the season. Um, what what needs to happen? I think what needs to happen with 12 games left. I think last time I was on here, I said they needed to win 12 of 16 games or something like that. 11 of 16 games. I would say they need to win at least 8 of their final 12 games. That would get them to 85 wins. It would be a roughly 1 in 3 chance of making the playoffs. But when you consider the Twins' struggles, when you consider that 3 of those key games are going to be against the Astros, that's the way. I would prefer 9 out of 12. I would prefer 10 out of 12. I would prefer 11 out of 12. I would prefer 12 out of 12. That would be nice. But 8 of 12 might get it done. But like I said, again, it's going to be playing down to those final days. And that's just what it's going to be. That's the team that they gave us. They gave us a team that plays, there's an 85, 84 win true talent team that's going to play down to the final days. And because there's an extra playoff team now, because this is like an historically bad AL West, not historic, not 94, but pretty bad, pretty bad. They have a chance. They're in it. They have a chance. So that's all we can ask for as fans. I mean, we can ask for a lot more from front office, from ownership, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, let's just look at the Mariners rest of the season. 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Astros, 3 against the A's, 3 against the Rangers. Okay, the A's, that final series is going to be tough because the A's just hit the ball. They just hit. They don't have the pitching, but we've seen how the Mariners have hit this season. It's been a lot better lately. Probably the biggest series, though, is upcoming series with the Yankees. Let's look at how they're doing recently. The Yankees are 7-3 in their last 10 games, plus 123 run differential, best in baseball. Not good, not like what you want to see. Let's look at their team batting stats over the past 30 days. They are 15th in baseball. They have a 95 WRC plus. That's a good sign. I mean, we're not going to get those Alex Verdugo at bats probably, but they have a 95 WRC plus over the past 30 days, and the Mariners have a 117. The Mariners 22% better than the Yankees over the past 30 days. That's what you want to see from the pitching standpoint. Let's go by FIP. The Yankees are fifth in baseball, 3.52. That's not as good. Seattle, 4.40 FIP over the past 30 days, 23rd. So, you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. Luckily, we're one at home. That's a long way for the Yankees to travel. I don't remember where they played most recently, but nobody wants to go to Seattle. Yeah, they played at home. They get a day off and then they come to Seattle. So that first game, that's like a very winnable game because even if they had a day off, they flew from New York to Seattle. Like that's a long flight. That's not a fun flight. Um, but yeah, so 12 games left. 12 games left. I said who the Mariners play: Yankees, Astros. The Astros is the key series. The A's, the Rangers. The more you win, though, the more you win against the Yankees, the less you have to beat, or the less important those later games will come. If they could win 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, that'd be fantastic. Let's look real quick who the pitching matchup is. Pitching matchups: Luis Gil versus Brian Wu. I'll take Wu all day, but Gil's been quite good. Nestor Cortez. Um, Nestor Cortez is like a funny one because it was like at the trade deadline, it was like if the Yankees can get another guy, they'll trade away Nestor Cortez. Like, way to mess with the guy's confidence. But going against Bryce Miller has been lights out. That's something I've seen people talking about lately. He's probably going to be like a top 5 Cy Young voter guy. Not, I mean, cool, I guess. I mean, cool. He's not going to win, but he's going to be up there. So, participation trophies, we all love those these days. Um, that's not, I'm sorry, that seemed very weirdly conservative coded. I'm not trying to be Adam Carolla here. Like, I'm not complaining about whatever. I just don't think you get that in your Hall of Fame plaque. Finished 5th in Cy Young voting. But anyway, in the final game, the day game, the travel game, is going to be Clark Schmidt and Logan Gilbert. And hey, does Clark Schmidt have a lower ERA? Yeah, yes. Clark Schmidt has a lower ERA, but Logan Gilbert at home. All these Mariners pitchers at home are so much better at home, as they should be. So I like all the matchups. I do. It's just a matter of Judge, Soto, what happens there, not letting the other guys beat you. 12 games left. 12 games left. Let's look at the other teams. Let's look at the people that we need to lose, which is the Houston Astros. They play 3 against Cleveland, 3 against San Diego, 3 against Seattle, and 4 against the Angels. They actually have 13 games left. They just beat up on the Angels. When people said it was over on Thursday because they lost and then they won the next 3 games, like, really, it's technically more over today after the win on Sunday, because they didn't gain any games winning 3 straight. That hurts a lot more when you only have 13 games left. But Cleveland, that's going to be a tough matchup for them. The Padres, they were a tough matchup for the Mariners. I think they'll be a tough matchup for the Astros. So there's room to grow there. I don't think this Kikuchi thing is going to last forever. I was thinking about that, like how insane this season is, like for Jerry haters, for Mariners front office haters, because you have Kikuchi. That's another guy they had and they gave up on, which there was no reason they should have kept him. But he's come in to the Astros and he's like what 8-0 in his 8 starts or something ridiculous like that. He's absolutely dominated, been great, just ridiculous for that guy to do that. And then you look at Suarez, what he's doing. I pulled it up today. There was like a tweet on June 12th, I think it was, where it was like the Diamondbacks are going to bench Suarez. They're going to bench him for Blaze Alexander. And since that day, by every metric, he's hitting over 300. He's the 6th best hitter in the league. He might even be better than like Ohtani since that day. It's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, a weird sample, but like that's how good he's been. He's been one of the 6 best hitters in all of baseball since June 12th. Like, who's this guy think he is? Victor Robles? But it's great to see. I really like the guy. I wish that was probably the move I was most mad about when I think about it because he was the vibes guy. He was the vibes. But you got Kikuchi could be responsible for the Mariners not winning the West. If you really want to get down to, if they miss the West by one game, Kikuchi is the difference. And if the season ends on like a Josh Rojas strikeout or something, uh, that's why it's going to be because of Suarez, or whatever. And then you got Jesse Winker playing a part of a playoff push for the Mets. It's just like, come on, can it just not? Maybe this is like an issue when you have a million guys and then you trade a million guys away. That it's always going to be those guys coming back to haunt you. You know, like is Kendall Graveman going to get a save against the Mariners? Like that's the path we're on. Anyways, the Twins are our other main rival right now. I would say I don't think Kansas City could fall off enough. I mean, they could, but I think it's more likely the Twins, especially with recent results. The Twins play the Guardians, the Orioles, the Red Sox, and the Marlins. Those are all not the Marlins, but the other three. That's tough. And the Marlins are like more of a real team than they were prior, which is weird. But yeah, those are gonna be some interesting games. The that path to the wild card is not as clear though because you got the Tigers, and the Tigers. Remember when the Mariners lost to the Tigers a bunch, and everyone's like, "How could you lose to this team?" And the Tigers right now have the same exact record as the Mariners. Like, yeah, they have a lower run differential, but like they've been playing a lot better. If you pick a certain date, they're like a better team since the Mariners. Since that date, they're doing the Mariners basically. They're doing the second half. We were out of it, but now we're going to make a run thing. Uh, Call the ambulance, but not for me. That's what they're doing. That's the Mariners move, and it's the Tigers move. The Tigers are lucky to play the White Sox 3 times, Rays 3 times, but then they have the Orioles and the Royals. So I don't think they're ultimately going to do it, but the Mariners, I don't think they wouldn't have the tiebreaker over them. So they do need to pass Minnesota if they want that third wild card. Which I was thinking about the third wild card, and um, the third wild card would be like the ultimate disappointment. But because the Astros would be the third division winner, like would they play them? No, I forget how they do the seating, but it would be very funny for the Mariners to disappoint everybody, lose the division, win the wild card, and then eliminate Houston. That would be the most fun of the shitty scenarios. But yeah, it's been a pretty fun couple of days. One thing I'm laughing at is like this push that was happening. Like, does Randy or Arozarena even want to be here? Does this guy want out? Should they even re-sign this guy, even though he's arbitration eligible? Like, should they even keep him? And then there was a lot of stuff about if they need to clear money, he's going to be the one that's traded, which very possible. But it's just so funny, like to watch these last 2 games, and it's like Randy Arozarena is a Mariner now. He's a Mariners legend. I think he's made friends. I think he's probably his family situation's probably cleared up. I don't know that. I haven't read anything about that. I don't have any reporting about that. But whatever. Okay, so like you play with one team your entire life, and then you make your home there. You know, a lot of these guys don't buy homes because it's baseball. You're gonna get moved. But he made his home there. His wife was there. Probably has kids. Pretty sure he has kids. Uh, and then there was reports that he was really sad that the Rays played at the Mariners. He went in the clubhouse to see all his old friends and like wanted to hang with them. There's reports that he was like FaceTiming with those guys. But now it seems like he's become like made friends. You know, Julio, Robles, whoever, like they seem to have a different relationship than they did. not that you need to be friends with your teammates, but like if you feel so isolated and so like betrayed by your former organization, which I think a lot of players can probably relate to that with regards to the Mariners. But like that's probably hard to play with. Like so many people just treat baseball players like pure statistics, but it's a lot more than that. And I think you really got to give players a break, or at least it's some time to adjust to their new surroundings. You know, Randy went from having Randy Land, like, you know, like the Mariners had King's Court, and he had Randy Land. He was the Ray, and now they got rid of him and traded him as far away as he could possibly get. Like, so he was as far away as he could possibly be from his wife, from every friend he'd made, baseball or not. And it's nice to see him like whatever happened with him to move past that, be happy, make friends with his team, and then perform well and get the adoration of from the crowd that's been dying to give it to him. Like that's why you watch a team that is 77 and 73, you know, or on going instead of there 75 and 73. You know, like it can be it can drive you absolutely insane to watch a team with that record because every time you think something's going right, it goes bad, and then it just repeats itself. It always repeats itself. It's 1-2, 2-1, one win, two losses, two wins, one loss, loss, win, win. What, you know, it's never, you can never get a steady stream. You can never start to believe, okay, they're actually turning it around because they just like keep taking you on this roller coaster, but it's not even a good roller coaster. It's it's speed bumps in the road. So it's nice that we had this weekend where they won a series with two really exciting games and then one handy win and one game and the loss was one that you could still feel good about because they should have won it. I mean, you feel bad about the bullpen or whatever, but the offense did their job. You know, there's so many losses where the offense doesn't do their job, and it's just like you're pissed because if they just could have hit the freaking ball, they would have won, but they didn't. And that's not what this weekend was. That's not what these four games were. That's not what these going back five games, I guess. Um, so yeah, it's been nice to see, and it takes your mind off of all the reasons this team should have been better, all the moves that they made that they shouldn't have made, or moves that they didn't make. Like Randy was always the move they were going to make. When I think now that I think more about it, Randy was always the move. Randy was. They were probably calling about Randy in April, and the Rays are like, "Look, we just got to see if we're going to make the playoffs. We'll keep him if we're going to make the playoffs." And then once they were out, boom, Jerry was there. Randy's a Mariner. That would have been a lot easier for Randy, the person. But the Rays, you know, I guess they owed it to their fans or whatever to say, we're going to try. We know we're going to trade this guy eventually because we don't pay people money, but we have to try. Would it be better for that player? Absolutely. But, you know, when people are complaining in like May or June, like, they got to make a move, they got to make a move right now, like, the other team has to want to make a move. Randy was always going to be the Mariner, the guys the Mariner targeted, but you just had to wait till the other team was ready. You know, like when you have a crush on a girl for a long time, and then but she has a boyfriend, and then she breaks up with her boyfriend, and it's not like she's going to start dating you the day they break up. You know, it's when they're ready. That's just like the Rays. You got to wait till they're ready to trade you the guy. You'll pay their price, but they still don't want that price unless it's time. I guess that when you throw in price, it kind of ruins the dating metaphor. But anyway, I'm really happy to see that. I'm really happy to see everything that Randy's doing. I'm really happy to see everything that Julio's doing and everything that Victor Robles is doing. Like, honestly, if you just talked about the outfield, I'm very happy with the Seattle Mariners right now. Um, so yeah, 12 games. 12 games. Let's do the thing. 8-4. That's not too much to ask for. 9-3 is maybe pushing it, but just give me 8-4, and then let the chips fall where they lay. Um, so yeah, right now I'm gonna take a quick break, and then I want to talk about something much less fun than the 2024 uh, recent wins. So the current team is a lot of fun, but the Mariners should not be in this position that they're in. They should not be fighting for the third wild card. They should not be hoping that another team loses so much that they're able to win. They should be the best. They should be one of the best teams. They should be one of the elite organizations. And the reason I'm talking about this today, when I probably promised myself I was not going to, was because Colin O'Keefe of the View Level newsletter, Substack, wrote a little thing, and I think it's one of the best things I've read about the Seattle Mariners this year. So I'm going to read probably my favorite little sequence. Colin writes, I thought it out. Let me try that again. I've thought about it before, though perhaps not written it here, but the Mariners are the perfect ball club for Seattle. There's no ambition, there's little to no foresight, there's no progress. You sit there thinking, what am I missing? If they invested in this team like the world class operation it could be, really gunned it for a title, or at least a period where they went to the postseason on a regular basis and provided all the memories and heroes that come with it, wouldn't they make that money back? Wouldn't making this a top 10 organization in baseball, a world champion, dramatically boost its valuation when it comes time to sell, which is when sports owners make their money? Doesn't getting the maximum number of people watching your games unquestionably benefit you? Don't you think creating more Mariners fans would make you money? It's like, don't you think if we provided a house for everyone, treatment for everyone, public goods, and basic human needs for everyone, we'd have much less homelessness and crime, that everyone would be better off? Don't we all want the same thing, something that works, in a World Series? No? Damn it. Um, and that's really it. One thing I've seen a lot is like a lot of complaints about ownership, and they're all deserved. They're always deserved when they're complaining about ownership. They don't invest in the way they should, the way they could, not even the way they should, not even the way they should, the way they could, and not lose money. They don't want to be a world class organization. They don't want. Look at me. I live in Wisconsin, and I wear a Mariners hat, and I see maybe one other Mariners hat ever, and I think it's like, it's usually a guy whose last name starts with S. He's wearing because he likes the S. Have you ever had that happen where you like see someone in a hat and like I saw a guy in the Marlins hat the other day and I was gonna say like, hey man, rough year, and I'm like, that guy probably doesn't watch the Marlins. He just like his last name starts with an M, or that shirt matches his Nikes or whatever. But anyway, that's not the point. But like, you see Yankees stuff, you see Red Sox stuff. Where I grew up, I saw tons of Cubs stuff. I grew up in Wisconsin, but it was near the border, so there's a lot of Cubs fans. Always saw Cubs stuff, but I saw Yankee stuff. And then back then, Mariners had Griffey, and so I saw Seattle stuff every now and then. You want to be the cool organization. You can be popular just not in Seattle. You can be popular everywhere. But instead, you have an organization where people hate you in Seattle. People love the Mariners, but I think they have such a distaste for the way the organization is run that they don't want to commit. They don't want to be hurt again because they know how these people are going to be. They know what they're going to do. They've been doing it forever. I found this article, I think it was from 2004, maybe 2007, but it was about the Mariners. I believe his name is Chris Larson. He's the big shareholder. Like John Stanton is the chairman, but he doesn't own the most shares. Chris Larson does, And it was about how the Mariners, financial shit. They had to only base their only base their budget on ticket sales, because if they had to pay the dividend or when you go over, they wouldn't be able to do it. So it's always, and I'm sure that same thing exists today, where they won't go over the amount that they project to make because they will not shell a dollar out of their own pocket. And actually, if you don't add $5 million to their pocket, they're going to be mad, and that's bad. And I think the Mariners need new ownership. I think you should really nationalize baseball, but that's not going to happen. So I've seen people talk about Mariners. I've heard I saw the Marine Layer boys say that wouldn't it be great if Jeff Bezos have you ever seen the way Jeff Bezos deals with the union? I mean, give me a break. Uh Almost had to swear there. But like, come on. That guy says because he treats his workers so well. I mean, he has a lot of money, but has he ever shown that he cares about this team? No, like he cares how much money he's made off of the backs of the people of Seattle. He does not care about the Mariners. He did when Nintendo bought the team, like that owner felt like a felt like he owed the city of Seattle something, or the state of Washington or whatever. And were they cheap and they didn't go over budget? The same way it still is today. Yes, but like at least he felt like some sort of civic pride. You think that Jeff B does? I don't think so. I don't think he believes in anything. He's a demon. Um, and then this. I'll say this. I'll say like Mark Cuban. He might be a kind of guy who would go over. Um, but the MLB has not shown any willingness to let him in. And also, like, hoping for Mark Cuban to buy your team is like when I've also seen people say, like, hey, what if the Mariners brought in Theo Epstein? Like, do you know how long ago the Red Sox curse was broken? It was 20 years ago. Get a new guy. When you talk about like hiring a different GM, like, you want to hire the next guy. You don't want to hire a guy who hasn't even done it in 12 years or something like that. Like, get out of here. Think outside the box. Be creative. There's someone out there. Like, I would say whoever is third in command of the Dodgers, give me that guy. I don't even know what he does or if he's any good, but he probably is because that's a sink or swim organization. But I've seen a lot of people. This is like confusing because I want to bash the owners, which I think I've done effectively, but I also just want to say like serve a wake up call to people. Like, would it really be better? Could it really? It could be better. It could. But let's go through the 30 teams and decide if it would be better. Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't know much about their owners. It might be better. Atlanta Braves. I don't know if it would be better. Atlanta Braves, like, they spend money, but they also live in one of the biggest markets, or they play in one of the biggest markets. They fleeced a town far outside of the city for stadium money. But do they really pay people? I mean, they've ripped off a lot of young baseball players. I don't know if that would be better. It would be maybe a little better, maybe 10% better, and 10% better would still be better. Orioles would not be better. I don't know a lot about this new guy, but if you look the way they could have, they could have done more this year. They could have signed Jack Flaherty. They could do anything. They should go. They should be going for it. Red Sox. There was a time when this would be a yes. It's not a yes anymore. They're trying to do. They make more, but they're still trying to do what the Mariners are trying to do. They're trying to be rich guy Rays. They don't spend like they used to, and they don't seem to be inclined to. Cubs, absolutely not. They've spent money this past few years, but those owners are evil, and they are probably gonna sell. And again, in a couple of years, they're gonna do like what the Mariners are doing right now: 3-year window of contention, where we kind of go for it, and then they're just gonna be like, okay, it's too expensive, we're gonna sell again. I don't trust those guys at all. Chicago White Sox, absolutely not. Cincinnati Reds, absolutely not. Cleveland Guardians, no thank you. Colorado Rockies, that's an interesting one. They are not a well run organization, but they spend money. They gave Chris Bryant that contract, uh, which is like a bad sign, but like maybe with a smarter front office. One thing about the Rockies, they're very loyal to their front office. So if you wanted to get rid of Jerry DePoto, that's probably not the ownership trade you want to make. Detroit Tigers, I think, is a yes for me. I think they will spend. They did the Javi Baez contract, the Eduardo Rodriguez contract. I think that they want to spend, that they just need like more evidence that it's going to happen. I think that would probably be an upgrade. The Astros would definitely be an upgrade from ownership's perspective, but it would also not feel good and be terrible. So no, thank you. Royals, very cheap organization. No, thank you. Angels, very similar to the Astros, where that would not feel good. He would spend the money, but he also wants to control. I don't want that. Dodgers, please, please, Magic Johnson and some other billionaire guys like come by the Mariners. That would be great. Get bored of winning with like one of the biggest markets and do it in one of the biggest markets. Marlins ownership, no, thank you. Brewers ownership, this one is personal to me. I live in Milwaukee. I've watched a lot of Brewers over the years, and the owner ran me off. I mean, part of it was like the guys that I liked aged out or moved on, but I don't think that they will ever spend money and go for it. Like this, like another team. Why didn't you go get Jack Flaherty at the trade deadline? You don't want to give up any prospects because you want to keep churning. Like they are the ideal of Jerry's 54% comment. They never want to be an under 500 team. They're very good at not being a under 500 team, but they're never going to be a true World Series contender. I don't think. I would like that trade. Twins, I think probably even. I guess I don't know. They spend a little money, but they also don't go crazy. Mets, that is the ideal. That's what everyone thinks. That's what everyone thinks it's going to be when you trade for or when you get a new owner. Everyone wants Steve Cohen because Steve Cohen wants to win a World Series. Like who knows what Steve Cohen will be like in 10 years? But the way he spent money last offseason was unprecedented in baseball. If the Mariners had 1 year like that, it would change everything. It would change the world. You know, if they just like started calling up people and say, "Hey, we want this guy. We'll eat all the money." You could get a lot of players. There's a lot of teams that don't want to spend, and you if you get the contracts that they don't want to pay, like that's even better. Yankees, the Yankees are hard to judge because they are the richest team in the history of baseball, but they also are in the richest place in the history of baseball with the greatest history. So you just like have such a leg up on everybody, and I don't they don't spend the way they used to. I mean, they it might be an upgrade, but I don't think I'd make that trade or be impressed by it. A's ownership, come on, do I even need to talk about them? Phillies ownership, that is the dream. That team wants to compete every year. That team continues to sign big contracts and bring in big players in hopes of winning a World Series. That's the dream. Phillies are the dream. Pirates, nope, that's a bad one. Worse than the Mariners. Maybe one of the worst. Padres, a bit different since that one guy died, but still, I think that would be an upgrade. Giants, definite upgrade. Again, that's one where it's kind of tricky because it's like you make a lot of money in where you are, but that's the Mariners could be the Giants. Have you ever, when I look at MLB like betting stuff, there's games in July where it's like 58 degrees or 62 degrees in San Francisco. And I'm like, why would anyone want to live in this place? Like I know Seattle has short summers, but like that's ridiculous. The Cardinals, probably a better ownership. Maybe they've kind of fallen off too. Rays, no thank you. Rangers, yes, I would take their money. I would not take It would feel terrible though, just like the Astros, just like the Angels. Like, what would it be like? Christian Mingle night? You know, like right now we have Fraser night, and then if the Rangers guys bought, we have like Christian Mingle night. It would be a Seventh Heaven night. No, thank you. Toronto Blue Jays. That's hard to judge because they really have a monopoly on the entire country, so they spend accordingly, but they also are, they have the GDP of an entire country to spend. So, and they have to spend. Um, so hard to judge that one. And then finally, Nationals. The Nationals traded away Juan Soto, so I think that disqualifies them. So this took a little longer than I wanted to, but like the point is, a lot of teams operate the same way. The Mariners. It's profit. It's profit over everything. It's how can we do this cheaper? How can we keep more of our money? And that doesn't feel great. But I do think there is an upgrade, even if you just go, you know, even if you just get somebody who wants to prove it for 1 year, that will make all the difference. Like let's say the Mariners sold today, and then that new owner went into this free agency and he said, "We're signing Juan Soto. No one's going to beat us on Juan Soto." It was over. It's done. Like that's the greatest owner in Mariners history. Like that's what you do. That's what you could do. I'm gonna get into this later when the season's actually over, but like you don't get Juan Soto by trading Luis Castillo and Randy Arozarena and Bryce Miller. You don't. That's not how you do it. Even if you do pay the most, if you trade three guys he would love to play with to get him, he doesn't want to be with you. He wants to know that you have money. Like look at Otani. Otani, took that delayed contract, whatever, but the Dodgers went out and signed Glass now. Like it wasn't like, okay, we spent all our money on you and now we have no more money to spend, which is what the Mariners do. Like we signed Mitch Garver, so mission accomplished. No, that's not how it works. You add and add and add and add, and then you win and you win and you win, and then you make lots of money. It's so simple. But these like 90s Nintendo and Microsoft executives can't wrap their head around that. So I think I'll end it there. Um, I don't really. My point is basically that this ownership is a barrier to winning, but it's not as big as a barrier as some people treat it. I think these people are demons. I think they are using the city of Seattle and the fans of the Mariners as their personal bank account. I think they could do a lot better by the fans, by everything, by everyone, by their players, by their managers, by their employees. They could treat all of them better, and they don't. And for that reason, they have to go. But just don't think that there's going to be gold at the end of the rainbow if they sell. Because all of these people who have that kind of money are demons. But you know what? The guys on the field are angels. So let's hope that our angels in the outfield, the Seattle Mariners plus the Angels in the 3 games, the actual Angels in the 3 games they play against the Astros. Let's hope they keep flying those wings. Yeah, that's good enough for today. Thanks for watching, listening. Please like, subscribe, and if you didn't like this video, watch it again and you'll change your mind. Thank you.